Back in the early 90s, the Buffalo Bills were trailing 35-3 to the Houston Oilers in the playoffs. They were so far down going into the second half that it almost felt like hope was lost. Even the Houston Oilers announcer was recorded as saying, "The lights have been on all day here in Buffalo, but they might as well shut them off now." Little did they know that 30 minutes later, the Buffalo Bills would come out on top, having overcome that 32-point deficit. I mean, just being human, you have to love a great comeback story, right? And that's what we see in the life of Joseph in Genesis. I mean, what were the chances of him ever seeing his dad again? What are the chances of him ever being able to have a relationship with his brothers again? I mean, the cards were stacked against him. At this point in the story, it had been over 20 years since he had laid eyes on his family. It wasn't like he could just log on to social media and click on a profile and go, "I want to see what dad's up to these days. I wonder what my brothers are doing. Are their businesses still succeeding? Are they still jerks? Have they sold any of their other brothers into slavery?" You see, at this point, Joseph had endured being sold into slavery by brothers that were jealous of him. He had been lied about, thrown into prison, and just time after time after time, the cards were stacked against him. But in Genesis chapter 45, we get to witness the end of the story, and what a glorious ending it was. He was confronted with his brothers, who their family was starving. They needed food. He was able to provide for them. And then on top of that, Pharaoh, his boss, found out that his brothers and his dad were still alive. And he said, "Look, here's what I want you to do. Send chariots to your family. Tell them not to even worry about bringing their stuff. The best of Egypt is theirs. Joseph, we will take care of them." He was recognizing Joseph's role in taking care of Egypt. And he said, "Look, they're going to get to live off the fat of the land. They will have the best place for their flock. All of the stuff. Don't worry about your beds, your chairs. We're going to deck you out." Talk about living like Larry, right? But there's no way that in the midst of Joseph's circumstances earlier in his life, that he had known that the outcome was going to be like this. It was an incredible comeback story. I think about the disciples in the New Testament had spent their lives watching Jesus perform miracles, Jesus do wonderful things, listening to Jesus teach, and then they were witness to the cross. They were witness to the cross, and they had no idea the outcome that God was working through Jesus on the cross. You know, students, I don't know where you sit. If you are so focused on the circumstances around you that it's hard for you to believe that God is working any great outcome on the other end. 2 Corinthians says that we need to fix our eyes on what is unseen, because what is seen, what we can lay our eyes on around us, stuff, sometimes people, circumstances, that's all temporary. It says, fix your eyes, fix your heart on what is eternal. Those are the things that will last. We're going to dig into that scripture tonight. And students, God is wanting to work something wonderful out in your life, regardless of what kind of comeback is needed. I know some of you are feeling like the cards are stacked against you right now in life. God is working something that you can't see, that you have to trust, just like Joseph did, just like the disciples did. Something wonderful.